Let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Kajetan Dziuda. Kajetan Dziuda. Thank you for putting in the phonetics of that in there, because I want to pronounce it Kajetan Dziuda. So thank you so much for putting in the pronunciation there, because you know I suck at names. All right. He writes, "Hello there and greetings from Poland. Avatar keeps the record for the second weekend box office hold, having earned a stunning 1.8% less than it did on its opening weekend. To put that in context, most movies hope to only have about a 50% drop. Avatar had a 1.8% drop, which is crazy. With the crazy situation the world finds itself in, do you think that Tenet could not just match that record, but even beat it? Tenet could become the first ever blockbuster that has amassed a bigger box office on its second weekend. May the filthy be with you always." All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, now here's the thing. Normally speaking, when a movie comes out in theaters, movies make the vast majority of their business, vast majority of their business in their first 2 weeks of release. And a lot of it, most of that, is in its first weekend. And what normally happens is you have your first weekend results and then a drop-off. Hopefully, that drop-off is around 50%. Sometimes it goes over 60. Every once in a while, when you got a real stinker, it's like a 70% drop-off. But you hope to have it around 50%. If you can go less than that, that's great. Avatar did have a significant smaller drop-off in its second weekend, which is, I think, like 1.8%. However, it's not the best one.
Oh, really?
Really. The best one that I know of, I could be wrong, there might be one that's even better.
Cats.
But I no, surprisingly enough, not Cats.
What?
But this is the first one that came off the top of my head. It's a little movie that I adore, and I've just come to adore more and more over the years, and that is The Greatest Showman.
Oh.
The Greatest Showman, I think it ended up with $400-something million, or $400 or $500 million. It might even be more than that. Its opening weekend was $8 million.
Yeah.
$8 million on over 3,000 screens.
Oof.
The following weekend, $14 million.
Wow.
The following weekend, $15 million.
Uh-huh.
It actually went up 2 weeks in a row. There might be another one that did it, but actually, in terms of percentages, Greatest Showman did even better than Avatar did in terms of percentages,
right.
Not total numbers, but in terms of percentages, it actually went up, which is never happens. Absolutely never happens. But it still brings up your point. What could Tenet do? Because Tenet's in a really interesting situation. It's going to open on July 31st. How many people go out to watch it is a question we've been talking about for months now. How many people will be rushing out to go see Tenet when it opens up in theaters on its first weekend? That's the big question. But with today's current environment and everything that's going on, you could make an argument that as time progresses, more and more people will become comfortable with going to the theaters. Maybe they don't on week 1, but maybe Tenet opens on week 1. Everybody hears it's great. Everybody sees nobody's reporting that they got sick from going to the movie theaters. Okay, a week later, maybe more people feel like they can go back. Could Tenet end up being one of these very, very rare Greatest Showman-like movies that actually takes a step up in its box office total from week 1 to week 2? I think it's very possible. Here's one of the things working against it, though. One of the things working against it is the fact that there is limited capacity in the theaters. Some are only limiting to 50%. A lot of movie theaters and places are limiting it to 25%. With that being the case, I could see theaters selling out in this first weekend with 25, especially with 25% capacity, especially when I go into Los Angeles and I see all the restaurants are packed. So clearly there's a lot of people comfortable going out in public. So, and if they do pack out those 25% or 50% capacity theaters in week 1, then there's really nowhere for it to go in week 2. But it is an interesting thing. We could see a little bit of Hollywood box office history here with Tenet that weekend. Aaron, let me ask you the question. You know, considering that it's going to take some people a little bit of time to roll out going back to the theaters, but then again, you're also weighing that against capacity. Could we see Tenet actually make more money in its second weekend than its first weekend? Why or why not? What do you think?
So as you recall, on Monday after the show with Rob, you know, during the show, I was saying that I could foresee a potential push of it not opening on the 31st, as they're now saying, of July. But then as we were discussing it after the show, I was like, wait a minute, the sooner that they open, even though they won't necessarily have a big opening weekend box office, which is my prediction, as they continue to stay open, the longer they're open with no other competition, the better they will do overall. And at the end of the day, it's the overall box office that we always want to, look at. Yes, people will say, oh, we only made blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh, I'm sounding like you're making fun of people's voice. At the end of the, there will always be people that will be naysayers of what it did opening weekend, but that will always come with the caveat. But yes, remember, it was the lockdown, blah, blah, blah. So, the sooner that Tenet opens, the longer it has to be in theaters without really much competition.
Yeah, I think Mulan will be in there and that'll be about it.
Right. And so if you have AMC 25 that's got 25 screens, then yes, even though most of those will only be at 25% capacity, even still, it's not 25% capacity of maybe 2 or 3 screens that it would be on in a normal time period. It's 25% of maybe 25 screens or 25% of 15 screens. So ultimately, you are opening up the opportunity for more people to see it on more screens. So it could actually even out as far as, selling out and the number of people that would have access to the film. If Mulan is really the only competition that it has, that's going to be something that is ultimately in the long run going to add to their overall box office number. So in that sense, I'm almost tempted to say that they should have just kept their July 17th opening weekend anyway and said, listen, we're going to have a shitty first weekend, but we're going to be open a long time, come one, come all, because I won't be there opening weekend. I'm the one that I'm never the person that's like, I'm going to run out and buy the new iPhone. I'm like, I'll work out the kinks. So I'm going to let everybody else, jump into the water first. Let me know how the temperature is. Tell me how deep it is, and then I'll dip a toe in. So I think that this is actually going to be... Overall, I really think that Tenet is going to end up doing massive numbers at the box office simply for the longevity that's going to have. Because I'll go see it eventually when I go back to the theater. But that might not be for another 2 months. I don't know. We all have our personal comfort zones, and we all have our own levels of health that we have to be concerned about. For me, I'm going to take a little bit longer time. I know for you, you're really interested in getting back in there as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah. AMC was just advertising they're going to have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse on July 9th. So I'll probably be there for that.
There you go.
Get a chance to see it. But the question then is for you guys. What do you think is going to happen with Tenet in its second weekend? Because of the situation, could we see the numbers actually go up? And actually, I was so interested in knowing what you guys thought. I made that the topic of today's question of the day. Now, of course, our questions of the day are put up in our community tab on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notifications of those who participate in them. And I simply asked the question, given the current unique circumstances, do you think that Christopher Nolan's Tenet will set a new box office record for biggest second weekend increase? Could more people going to the theaters in the second weekend than the first help that? We discussed that and more. And I put this up just before the show started. Right now, about 1,800 of you guys have voted on it already, and it's close. It's close. 42% of you guys are saying, yes, the box office will go way up on its second weekend. 50. I thought that number was going to be a lot smaller. I thought maybe 10% of you would think that. 42%, but 58% of you guys are saying no, it will not break that record. That poll is going to stay up there, so you guys can go and check that out. So, guys, let me ask you, what do you think is going to happen here with Tenet going into its second weekend? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.